Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1295 of our daily content grind. So, it's time for the toy store life again, and this was not the plan for the day. The plan was actually a tier list because I haven't done one in a bit. However, honestly, I'm fried right now. For being completely honest, I am deep fried at the moment. So, I can explain why. And I thought, yeah, this would be the appropriate way of explaining why, because rather than just kind of feed you all of the details over on Blue Sky, I thought, no, this has everything to do with the toy shop. Let's just toy store life this, and I'll tell you about the craziest week that we have ever had, at least as crazy as like I can remember in recent years. So, we're gonna preface this with the fact that this is like. This week has burned me so bad. Yesterday burned me up so bad. I had to cancel a few things. I guess we should get to that a bit. I guess let's start chronologically, okay? So, if you're not aware, or if you have not watched any Toy Store Life in the past that has explained this, the shop is kind of a side gig for everyone involved. We're only open 4 days a week. So, you know, typically a week of working here should not burn me out. You know, it should not overload me. However, upon arriving on Thursday, I was informed that someone who had called previously to sell a collection had actually come through and the deal had been done and everything was waiting for me. So, on the Facebook page, we posted this to just kind of tell people how much we got. And what you see there is a lot of Black Series, a lot of old vehicles, and a few Lego sets, all Star Wars. This is not everything. This was just a post that I made to give people an idea of what we had recently taken in and what we would be showing off soon. Here's another picture of stuff that we got in. This is still not everything. There was larger stuff in the back that also had to be figured out. There are stacks and stacks of action figures, not only Star Wars, but there's horror movie characters. There's a few old McFarlane Spawn toys. There's a set of die-cast cars from a company I've never heard of, but apparently they did Marvel cars for a while, because there's a bunch of Marvel cars that also need to be figured out. It went on and on and on and on and on. So, in total, I counted about 160 pieces in this collection, which is a lot to take in all at once, especially when I'm the only one here to really sort through it, price it out, and figure out where it's going to go. And figuring out where it's going to go is one half of the burnout equation. So, here's what our Star Wars wall looks like now, with a lot of that put up and priced out and ready to go. It's important to note, it's not all of it, and I'm still working through a lot of it. I'm not done yet. I have been working on this every chance I've gotten for the last 3 days. It still ain't done. Now, in previous Toy Store live videos, I have explained that this is the Tetris game. And I refer to it to customers, I refer to that to everyone else, because it is the puzzle of figuring out where all of these new items go in a way that fills up the space that you've got and makes this perfectly fit, form across everything, right? And I call it a Tetris game because that's, the easiest way to explain it. Fit the blocks in the gaps. However, it's not really entirely accurate. The reality is in that in Tetris, space is the enemy. You're trying to fill up space as much as you can, and if there's a little gap here or there in your Tetris stack, that is a liability that you can't do anything about. There's no way to move that one little unused block of space. You have to dig through until that space becomes open again and then use it. That's not how it really works, though, when it comes to redoing a wall like that. That when you're redoing a shelf space like this, space is the ally. And what you're really working with is the space. Because the goal is to move all of that extra excess space closer and closer together until you can find out exactly how much you have to work with and then figure out where all the new stuff is going to go. So this was, what you see on this wall here was 2 days of rearranging pegs, combining pegs together, figuring out priority, figuring out shapes, figuring out where does all the space come from, getting like little things rearranged so I can get 1 extra inch of space where I need it so a new piece can go up on the wall, and then continuing on from there. The Tetris game is way more complex than a lot of people give it credit for because it is exceptionally exhausting, both physically, because I'm running around, hauling around all this merchandise and trying to be careful with all of it, but also mentally taxing because I'm trying, my brain is in constant, where does it go? How does this work mode? And that is the hard aspect of it to describe. For the moment, it seems done. It seems like this will work. There are still a few things that, if I'm being real, should go up on the wall. But I am saving that for tomorrow when hopefully I have, the Jimmy Neutron brain blast and I can actually figure out what I'm going to do with it. But that is still not even the end of the Tetris game. I still don't have the Lego Star Wars pieces up. I still do not have some statue pieces up. We got those like Bandai, like Shogun Samurai inspired Star Wars figures. Those are really, really cool. I need a place for those to go. So the Tetris game continues, or I guess in this case, the inverse Tetris game continues. 3 days in, it's still not done. And I would really like to have it all done by Sunday because that's when the boss comes in to catch up for the week. That's when I'd really like to present and go, hey, look, I bet you didn't think it would work. There it all is. That's the hope anyway. Oh, but Friday, I completely lost the time to do that. Let's backtrack here. I say I've been at this for 3 days. The truth is, Friday kept me too occupied to do that because Friday was a new launch of Pokemon. So let's make this as stressful as possible, right? So right now, little shops like this are getting their allocations of Pokemon slashed. We put in order for 30 boxes, we get 10. And I'm not kidding about that. I can show you the invoice. It makes it very difficult to turn a profit on what is supposed to be, one of our most successful weekends, for the entire year. We live to see those big numbers that come up on new Pokemon launch week. Well, when we don't have enough to sell, it's kind of hard to see those numbers. We're supposed to get this new product in on Thursday, so we have time to price it out, make space for it, promote it, etc. Get the promotional material they sent us up. None of that. No. So I come in early on Friday, waiting for the UPS truck, praying it shows up, because the last few times it didn't show up until 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We open at noon. And I have a line of people outside waiting. There's a few other shops in the area, so I value anyone who chooses to wait for us and, specifically to give us the money. We know a lot of places around here are overcharging double, even triple on some products. We don't do that. We're trying to be the one shop in town that's going to treat people fairly, and we're not trying to strip you of every dime. And we're not trying to, price you out of this hobby. The result, though, is people come here and people expect us to be able to put up what we promise. That gets hard to do when we can't count on our distribution. So with very slashed numbers, I'm doing the math in my head all day of like, how much can I actually sell and still have some for the rest of the weekend? Like, how much can I really have to go around? Can I fill out everyone who's in line? But the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. It's 10:30, 11, 11:30. UPS still is not here. And the conclusion is, if they're not here by noon, we're just going to have to send everybody home and do it and have a do-over on Saturday. Because that's the only fair way to do it. I don't want to put it out and just have a free-for-all for whoever happens to wander in. I'm outside chatting with everybody just to kind of lighten the mood, just to kind of prepare everyone for like the news that I'm about to present. You know, because it's 15 till 12 at this point. Like, I've got to figure out how to explain this. UPS shows up. And in a weird way, this is actually worse because now I have to haul everything out of the boxes as fast as I can, get it ready as fast as I can for the line to come in and pick through it. The launch after that went smoothly, but that was an entire morning of stress and then a lot of running around with the product. And the day continues because people still come in looking for it. You know, I have to explain, okay, we didn't get that much. We have purchase limits on what we still have. Thankfully, we actually, with purchase limits, had enough to get through a couple days before selling out. So at least we had a few days of people coming in and leaving with something, which is a lot more than a lot of places could, manage to do. So I'll give a credit that. We actually, I think it went pretty smoothly after everything, finally happened. And then there's fielding the phone calls. I'm getting about 20 phone calls a day, interrupting everything else I'm in the middle of at the job, just to tell them, yes, we have a little bit of Journey Together left. No, sorry, we just ran out of Journey Together. No, we don't have Prismatic. Why are you asking about Prismatic? That sells out in minutes. No one has Prismatic. Oh, I'm sorry. The shop down the street has Prismatic. Do you want to spend $200 on a box of it? Because I don't think you should. I say down the street, I mean like those shop like 30 minutes from here. We'll get to the shop down the street because that comes up too. Let's make the weekend more stressful, shall we? We had a fire marshal show up. And the fire marshal came through to do a routine check. Now, this store used to be owned by somebody else. So when they come and do the routine check and they show me on the screen what the contact info for the store is, and the original owner's name is still on it, that tells me how long it takes for them to actually get around to like inspecting us again. But she goes around, she tests all the exit signs and the emergency lights on there. She tests, like, she looks at like the fire extinguishers. She tells us your back door needs to be unlocked during hours because it's an emergency exit. Okay, we'll be sure to do that. All your stuff in the back, the storage unit can't be within 12 inches of the ceiling because that's a fire hazard. Okay, so now I get to figure out how to rearrange everything in the back so that everything can come down by a foot. That's something that I still need to get around to because it's important. Fire code's important. So that'll get done, but like, oh my God, do you really need to give me something else to do? You show up once every 4 years and you're going to give me something else to do on the craziest weekend I've ever had. So we have fire marshal stress. Through all of this craziness on Friday, I also get a phone call. And the phone call was the local news. I pick up the phone and they go, "Hi, this is NBC2. Are we talking to the manager or the owner?" "I'm the manager. How can I help?" So a news story hit our desk. Some knucklehead, and he literally used the phrase knucklehead. I've not heard anyone use knucklehead since Ninja Turtles. But he tells me that some knucklehead robbed another Pokemon shop on your street to the tune of about $34,000 in stolen material. I didn't even know there was another Pokemon shop. Apparently it's buried and it's just an offshoot of another business. So yeah, they got robbed. They had an alarm. They caught the guy. I don't know if they recovered the product or not, but I do know they caught the guy. And at the time, I'm just like, oh, thank God it wasn't us. Now, like, we've got cameras outside. We got a hidden camera inside. We have an alarm on the building. All the windows are very, very thick. Like, it is, this is not a smart place to rob. So, and we're also facing a road that's always got people on it. So, yeah, so luckily it was them and not us. So that was the first thought that crossed my mind. The other, after, and then later came like, oh, well, that sucks. It's like, I don't mind local competition because there's plenty of customers for everyone right now. But man, that was interesting timing on that. So yeah, I get to go through that, and he's telling me like, well, we're trying to do our research because most people aren't going to understand why Pokemon cards are so valuable. So, can we just come in? Can we find out time to come in today and just like talk to you and like kind of explain it to us? Like, yeah, sure, absolutely. So now I spent some of my runtime, my brain is going like, how do I explain Pokemon cards to the layman who does not know why these are valuable? And the best I can come up with in my head is, imagine a lottery ticket. Imagine having a lottery ticket that never expires. And sorry, someone's messaging the shop right now. Imagine having a lottery ticket that never expires. And if you scratch it off and get a jackpot, but don't cash it in, the jackpot will continue to raise the higher up it goes. The older it gets. That is what Pokemon packs are right now. And that's like the most bare bones way I have of explaining it. And my brain is trying to process it all day. What am I actually going to tell them? I need to make the shop look good for the cameras that are coming in. We got too many gaps in our Pokemon section right now. I'm supposed to be talking Pokemon. We got gaps in our Pokemon section. Let me quickly fill those out. They didn't show up. Got a text that said a brush fire took precedence, so they didn't make it here for the Pokemon story. Didn't hear from them today either, so I'm going to assume it's old news now, dropped off the schedule. Wouldn't have minded the local exposure, but there's one thing my brain was prepping for, and something I was prepping the shop for in the middle of the Pokemon launch chaos that never came to be. So there's that. And that was my Friday, and that is why I didn't end up doing my late night Magnetar stream this week, because like with everything that's going on, 2 days of just like constantly my brain getting barraged and just being physically worn out. Oh, by the way, got less than 5 hours of sleep before Pokemon launch day too. Yeah, I was dead. I was unconscious in my chair. I would not have been. I was not in any mood to be entertaining that night. But that was my Friday. And that's why I had to cancel a stream. And I hate to do that so early into my new streaming career as a VTuber, but that's how it goes. And that's Friday. Now we're on to today. Today is still chaotic. I'm still getting like 20, 30 odd phone calls asking for Pokemon sets that we don't have. People popping in to see if we still had stuff. You know what? Fine. Some regulars coming in, some tourists coming in. Fine. But today is almost calm, so I actually got a chance to continue the Tetris game. It's still not done. Let's compound this. I got another weird phone call. This weird phone call was from someone who is doing a short film, because we do have a film fest in town soon. So they called asking if they could shoot around the store, because guess what? Walmart and Target don't like you bringing cameras in and filming their locations. And they had like an actual camera. They're trying to make this like actual high quality. They're not just like, they're not just like recording with their phone. Real camera, real microphone, etc. And you can't do that at Walmart or Target because I come to find out even the layout of the stores have a copyright on them, which is why they do not allow you to film inside without a license or without permission. Okay, fine. It's been something that's been annoying me when I go out when I want to go toy hunting and I think to film it, can't do it there. So they came to a little shop like this. It was a good thing too, because their little short film involves Star Wars. So I go through that. That it's just kind of an interesting thing that happens. But my brain is still in that position of a store just got robbed yesterday. You sure this is not just some weird way of like casing the joint and getting like photographic record of it? I mean, I film in here all the time. Like, that's not really something that you need to do. So I'm asking them about the film. I want to make sure they're serious about this, that there's like an actual plot. Why do you need the toy shop? Why does it need to be a Star Wars section, etc., etc. So there's that. We have to go through all of that because I am trying to look for holes in their story. And thankfully they have none. And keeping an eye on them as they were in here, they weren't eyeing or recording any of the big valuable like Pokemon sections or anything. So seems to be on the level. You know, okay, that's a little bit of public exposure. You know, that's good for the store, and I enjoy that. So that all works. Okay, so that's fine, but that's again more runtime on a day where my runtime is burned out on the Tetris game, and no, we don't have the new Pokemon set anymore. Let's compound it. I am only about 2/3 of the way through that giant collection that was waiting for me on Thursday when another collection comes in. Are you out there, Tim? Because I know Tim watches the channel sometimes. Why'd you bring me titanium, Tim? I'm fine with it. It's vintage sealed product, and I like any kind of like older sealed product for my Transformer section. But now on top of that section that I still have to finish in the Star Wars and all the crazy other stuff that came along with that whole collection, now I gotta go through all the Transformer stuff too. So even more. And so as soon as I get done with the Star Wars section, the McFarlane section, all the other sections I have to redo for all these new collections and new toys, then Transformers gets to come in there at the end. So tomorrow is going to be just as chaotic and just as exhausting because that's going to be waiting for me as soon as I get in the door. Just to tell you how busy this store has been, I tell you at times today, it seemed calm. So I'm not going to let you guys know like the financials of the shop or anything like that. That is all confidential. That's all strictly business behind the scenes. What I will tell you is that at the moment, 3 of our 4 days this week have gone by. When we have a certain number we like to hit before we consider this a good week for sales. We are more than double that number right now, and we still have tomorrow to go. So I am exhausted. I am burned out. And I have to do this video to tell you why. You know what? I love this job. Most of the time, this job is very easy, and you would assume, especially for a toy guy like me, a job like this would be easy. But that's why I do videos like this, to kind of go like, yeah, well, there's another side to this. There are other things that you don't really know, or stories that don't really get told by anyone else who kind of does this for a living. Things you need to understand, you know? So this is one of those things where, yeah, just like any other job, it is very easy for things to work out in just the right way to become very overloaded, to be exhausted physically, drained mentally, and just wondering, like, can I please get a moment's rest just so I can regroup myself a little bit? So that's the craziest week. It is the craziest week I've had so far. I am crossing all of my fingers and toes that tomorrow doesn't bring anything else and that things can just be nice, calm, maybe a little bit low key so I can get things done before I go home for the week. Sometimes it just does not let that happen, because that's the toy store life. Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.